Good afternoon all, my name is Gerard Cleary, and what I'm hoping to do today is I'm hoping to talk to you a little bit about the Glennis story, who we are, what we're about and where we're going to. I'm just going to talk to you about how we survived and grew over the last few years. So just let me begin. Glennis comes from the Irish name An Glan Ishka, the stream flowing through the woods, which is a small woodland just behind our family farm. I'll just give you a little brief introduction or the history around Glenisk, where it came from. Glenisk is a second generation family. It's run predominantly by the Cleary families. Now, our dad, Jack Cleary, he set up the business back in 1986. I suppose he set it up for twofold. One was he had a large dairy herd. He was milking about 250 cows per day. And secondly, he had a large family. I'm one of 14 sons and daughters that he had. So Dad had, I suppose, two axes, should we say. He wanted to create added value for the milk because he was tired of doing all the hard work of milking the cows and seeing the local creamery truck coming in and bringing the milk away and them adding value to it. And secondly, the early 80s were similar recessionary times as they are today. It was very difficult to find jobs, so he wanted to give the option for his family that they could stay in the business as well. So he set up Glennis with that principle, and he managed three businesses: the farm, the yogurt business, and also a milk processing business where he set up. Now, when Dad passed away in 1995, the place was there was 9 or 10 of us muddling around between the three enterprises. It took us a couple of years to find our feet, and eventually 4 siblings and myself took over the running of Glenisk. Now, we were in a little bit of shock and awe because it was our first time being introduced to business. We were the worker bees running around doing the manual work, but we'd no experience of business. We hardly even knew what a bank statement looked like. So we got a land. I remember our first meeting was with our accountants, and their advice was to us. We didn't know whether there was going to be millions in the bank or million whatever. And they said to us, guys, I'm afraid your business isn't really going any place, so the best thing for you is you're young, you're educated, to go off and look for other jobs around the world. Now, I suppose our resilience, our naivety, we said to ourselves, coming out of that meeting, we're going to prove them wrong. So we literally rolled up our sleeves, we gathered whatever personal savings we had, we ploughed it into the business, we bought some second-hand capital equipment, and we put some modern look on our plant and our packaging. And we started slowly but surely seeing things change for ourselves. So about the year 2000, we made our first bold move. We were coming from products where we were based on natural ingredients, no additives, preservatives. We saw some of our competitors doing some of the same, or some of our multinational competitors. So we found that we were losing our unique selling point. We couldn't go into the stores or the supermarkets and say, Glenisk have something new, because others had it as well. So we looked at the possibility of producing some of our products organically. Now, organic products was virtually unheard of at the end of the 90s. And we travelled the length and breadth of Europe, and we saw that organics was beginning to make somewhat of a headway in Central Europe. So we said, if a philosophy and a way of life works over here, it may work over here. So we started to slowly change our products range from what we call natural, conventional products to organic products. A few things worked in our favour at this particular time. There was various diseases in the food chain right across Europe. We had the BSE disease, the mad cow disease, foot and mouth disease in Ireland. There was dioxins in food across Europe. all of a sudden people started to question where their food came from, what it was all about. Could they believe what was written on the packaging of products? Organic became in vogue at the time, and we were sort of ahead of the curve in that we had an organic offering and there was vast amount of space on the supermarket shelves for us to fill. So that really got the momentum going with Glenisc. Over the last few years, we have stuck to a word in trying to create products as naturally as possible. In the last few years, we've introduced a babies range, a sugar-free range of products, because we all try to give our kids the best product that they can, or the best start to life. We realise the importance of Greek products, another arm that we've concentrated on. We have geared our plant to work as close to nature as possible, where we've installed our wind turbine as well. We also have a reed bed system in our manufacturing. So what Glenisc is about, it's all about creating products as sustainable as possible and as pure as natural as possible as well. And this has allowed us, which we're chuffed, to win various awards. We have won the Best Managed Company Award, and this year we've been listed as a nominee for the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Award as well. So that's a little bit of flavour of who we are and where we came from. So as I mentioned, it's a family business and set up over 25 years ago. We partnered with a stony field, just to give you a time on this, I'm about 20 minutes on this altogether, right? We partnered with a US company called Stonyfield Organics, where they liked what we were about and they liked what we were doing, and they looked to buy into our company as a minority shareholder. Now, Stonyfield have a turnover about 20 times the size of us, and they've gone through some of the trials and tribulations that were facing us in the future as well. So we found working with them over the last 5 years, I suppose, a symbiosis relationship, a two-way street, in that one, we are learning from them in certain aspects of what they did and how that worked in the States, and two, they learn from us as well in what we do. So we're also, as I mentioned, committed to sustainability. We're one of the first members of the Borbia Origin Green programme as well, which we truly believe in, and we're one of Ireland's fastest growing brands. We're also winners of various business and environmental awards as well, something I'm just going to touch on it later as well. But Glenisc is all about, as I said, producing good food and producing in a way that was produced 20 or 30 years ago. So over the last 5 years, we've seen the growth of Glenisc. Sales have been growing at a phenomenal rate, we think, for the last 5 years, about 20% per annum. We are exporting now about 20% of our sales to the UK, Dubai and the Iberian Peninsula. One thing that we found when we were starting off in business was we got advice from various third-party agencies, maybe government agencies as well, that they were informing us to look at trying to get the export market, try to rule the world or capture as much as Europe as possible. When we found that Ireland, for a small business, was big enough to be our world as well. So we sort of parked the export strategy for the time being, and we looked at concentrating in Ireland. And we have grown our market share in Ireland, where we now have about 13% market share. It has trebled over the last 3 to 4 years, and it's still growing. The funny thing about Ireland is a dairy country. It produces 5 billion litres of milk per annum at the country as a whole, but there's 83% of the yogurt consumed is imported. Now, we want to have Irish yogurt a bigger share than that, because we can't be just producing milk, exporting and get someone else to bring it back. So we're doing our share in that, in trying to promote Irishness and trying to promote Glenisc name for what it's worth. As I mentioned, the growth in our sales, Checkout have a magazine, grocery magazine, which do the top 100 brands on a yearly basis. Now, there is about 20,000 different brands on the Irish market, and earlier days we were in awe looking at the top 100 brands saying, would we ever get there? But fortunately in 2010 we broke into it, I think, at position number 89. We consolidated and grew in 2011, 71st, right up to 39th position last year, and we hope to hit the top 30 this year. So with that, brand recognition has helped fuel the growth as well. I remember if I was giving a talk or a conference like this 3 or 4 years ago, and I'd asked the audience how many would have heard of Glenisk. Very few, but I'm not going to show a raise of hands or ask people to put their hands up now, but I'd like to think that more people have heard of Glenisk now than they have in the past as well, which is great for ourselves. We also monitor our competitors as well, because the fridges in the supermarkets, they don't expand. There's only a certain space area that you would capture as well. So we look at what our others are doing and see how we're relating to consumers and ticking the boxes that consumers want to tick. How have we done that? Well, one thing is we played particular emphasis on our marketing campaign over the last few years. Now, we have a marketing budget, or sorry, some of our competitors have a marketing budget which is about 15 times the size of ours.